Message from Starfleet Command, top priority.
You are listening to the TrekRanks podcast, a member of the Tricorder Transmissions Podcast Network. This is episode 144, featuring the top 5 Trek gambles. Welcome, Star Trek fans. I'm Jim Moorhouse. I'm the host of the TrekRanks podcast, and tonight we are doing our 4th live episode of TrekRanks, another live convention show. And tonight we're back in Vegas, so we're doing the top 5 Trek gambles, and it's a perfect topic. Perfect topic for this venue and this location. And we have 4 participants with us tonight, including me, 5. We have a studio audience. Let's go through it. We'll introduce everybody at the same time. We got Alex Perry returning for his 20th TrekRanks appearance. Deb Moltisanti is in the room for her 6th appearance. Jamie McGregor is back for appearance number 5. And Josh Zeller, also in the 5-time club now, here for his 5th appearance.
We'll get jackets made.
Yes.
I want to be added onto the pin.
I love it. That pin was created in 2017.
Where's the pin?
Right here.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, it's the pin.
On the pin, right?
All right, let's get into this. We're going to have another raucous show, and we're going to get into our TrekRanks recalibration right now.
What are you recalibrating?
Everything. It's a sweeping, a recalibration of all systems.
As regular listeners will know by now, General Order number 1 of the TrekRanks podcast, and we love Trek, love to rank Trek via some deep dive topics just to get the conversation started. And remember, it's not about the ranks. That's just our excuse to talk about Star Trek. And as the Vulcan Master likes to tell us each week,
Infinite diversity.
In infinite combinations.
no wrong answer. It's not about being right or definitive in any way. It's about sharing the things we love about Trek. And we love it all. From TOS to TNG, straight to the Enterprise, the Kelvin timeline, and now Discovery, Picard, Strange New Worlds, Short Treks, Lower Decks, and Prodigy. I finally wrote those down. So I wouldn't forget.
And the animated series.
And the animated series. I did not say that. Thanks, Jamie. It's all fair game here on the TrekRanks podcast. No, I did cover the animated series because I said from TOS to TNG straight through to Enterprise. So it is covered in my spiel that you hear every week and are very sick of. And one final reminder. Oh, no, we have Black Alert.
Black Alert. Black Alert.
And a reminder that this episode of TrekRanks is current through 854 episodes of Star Trek, which currently means the season premiere of Star Trek Lower Decks, 3rd season, Grounded, which premiered last night. Woohoo! And a final reminder, we use episodes as a shorthand term, but the 13 films are always in play.
Have boosted power to the communications bandwidth.
Okay, we appreciate that, Mr. Kim. You can find TrekRanks on Subspace at TrekRanks.com. And you can connect with me directly on Twitter at TrekRanks or at Enterprise Extra, or you can call and leave us a message with your own picks at 609-512-LLAP. That's 609-512-5527. Okay, we're going to go around the horn and hear how we can get a hold of all of our guests on Subspace. Debbie, we're starting with you because we're going around the circle, right to left.
At SilverGo25 on Twitter.
Jamie.
JMac_ref on Twitter.
Josh.
Madcap of Science on Twitter.
Josh, you were just on like 1 or 2 episodes ago, right?
Yeah, we talked about the top 5 Strange New Worlds moments.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was like 3 episodes ago. Alex Perry.
At Alexander T. Perry.
Also
on
at
TikTok.
Weekly Trek.
Has to be
on TikTok. Okay, I think we're ready to activate our level 1 diagnostic to get into this show.
Run a level 1 diagnostic series. Come.
All right, so really quick, this is going to be like 30 seconds. A Trek gamble is actually a super broad topic. Can mean anything. Could be in universe, could be out of universe, could be production related, could be literally gambling. There's a lot of gambling in Star Trek. 500 quatloos on the newcomer. Or it could be a life and death situation. It could be a small thing. I don't know. There's a lot of ways to look at Trek gambles. So I can't wait to hear how everyone breaks it down in their prime directive. So we're going to do that right now.
But what you're proposing is exactly the kind of tampering the Prime Directive prohibits.
Okay, Debbie, we're starting with you. How did you break it down for your for your picks.
I ended up finally going with production gambles.
Okay, this is awesome.
Okay.
They're mostly in my
Yep.
secondary system. That's it. So
Just
that's
like
it. Production gambles.
production, like the writers, that this
Yep.
is the directions
I
that
gotcha.
that showrunners chose to go. It might be for a single episode because it was something unusual in the way it was filmed, or just a choice of storyline, but production gambles.
I love it.
That I will say paid off.
I have a few of
In most
those
cases.
in my secondary systems. Jamie, how did you break it down?
I thought about that and went in the entirely opposite direction and went with actual on-screen kind of decisions that were made. I tried to steer away from things that could just be considered big decisions. Is this or risky decisions or something like that, and tried to think of actual examples of either gambling in Trek or a decision that might be considered a gamble. So that's kind of where I went with
Okay,
that.
that sounds similar to mine. And
No.
Josh Zeller, how about you? How did you break it down?
Kind of more looking outside at the show, outside in, decisions about production, story, things like that. How did it affect the overall franchise? The biggest consideration I had was just whether it was a big gamble, where they roll in the hard 6, as Commander Adama would say in another franchise.
I love it. So out of universe, pretty much. So
Yeah, a bit.
production
Yeah.
stuff. Okay, Alex.
100% in universe. Characters making very risky decisions that they genuinely don't know the outcome for going in, and that you as the audience are like, I don't know if this is going to work out well for you or not.
Okay, that's similar to me. I went back and forth on all these because there's so many different ways to look at it, but major gambles is a big thing of mine. So like mine was like, there was a safe alternative, but they went for the gamble to really have a better outcome or result.
Yeah.
And if they hadn't done the gamble, they probably would have been okay. To me, that makes it kind of a bigger gamble because you're gonna die. You could have played it safe and survived, or you're gambling and you could die. So that's kind of where I went. Okay, that made no sense. Anyway, who cares? Let's get going first. Kanekaton, introduce us to the new order of things.
It'll be alphas like us that determine the future of this quadrant. That will be the new order of things.
Thank you, First Kanekaton. As always, a quick reminder on how we're going to go through the order of things. First, everyone will start with their 5-word summary and a hashtag to tease their picks, and we'll each reveal our top 5 Trek gambles and the specific reason we're highlighting it and the episode that it appears in and associate to. And at the end, we'll ask everyone for a few secondary system selections for the picks that just missed our list. And as always, if we have any duplicate picks, make sure you listen for the Defiant Torpedoes. Okay, Debbie, we're starting with you. What is your number 5 pick for your Trek game?
Okay, my number 5 pick, my 5 words are bridge, day 1, firing phasers, hashtag rookie alert, and it's Enterprise Season 4, Episode 8, Awakening.
Suck it up to the boss.
Drive Enterprise from orbit. Use all necessary force.
Yes, Excellency.
Phase cannons, return fire.
The Vulcan ships are firing on Enterprise.
They just let in and he's just firing weapons, taking commands from people. Who made that decision?
I'm like,
my question.
what is, where are you going with this? What is this? Oh, that's a terrible production choice. What were they thinking?
What were they thinking?
Reroute emergency power to phase cannons.
Hull breach on C deck. They're reporting casualties. Velocus hailing. Audio only.
Put him through.
You're hopelessly outgunned. Weapons are offline. Engines failing. Don't force me to destroy your ship.
He's right. We should withdraw. Our deaths won't help Captain Archer or T'Pol.
Get us the hell out of here.
One of the biggest gambles in Trek history, really. Would you agree?
Truly.
Yeah.
I love it. And I think I hit them one time. So all the others were misses. But they were warning shots. Okay, beautiful. Anyone want to rip me? Any awakening thoughts?
Pass.
Okay.
I told you there were
All right,
hijinks.
fantastic. Jamie, what is your number 5 pick? I love that pick, Dan. That was awesome.
All right, I'll kick us off with my list of actual literal gambling.
Okay.
And so my 5 words are 50 strips hustle goes wrong, #only a beginner. And it is Tendi and Mariner trying to hustle some Nausicaans in a time-honored Domjot swindle in the Lower Decks episode. We'll always have Paris. Good, nice little throwback to Tapestry, throwback to the trope of, a gambling situation where we know that the hero is going to come out on top because they've got the smarts. And what I like about it is that it turns the tables, which is they lose in the sense that the Nausicaans chase them out of the bar and are about to kill them all, which is not the way that's supposed to end. So I can't actually recall if they got 50 strips of Latin that they bet on the adventure, but either way, a lot of fun.
I feel like they ended up on the floor in the bag. But by the way,
I'm sure this is one of the funniest lines. Hey, I just got that table rejotted.
Yeah, so good. Also, we'll always have Tom Paris. I think.
Oh, did I say we'll always have Paris? Oh, sorry.
Which is
I've
classic.
I've only been, we're only on day 1 of this convention. I think I've already seen enough plates of Tom Paris around the place.
And today that Harry Kim
Just the plate on
was going
Twitter.
around Twitter. It was so great.
That's
so
fantastic.
classic. Okay. That's a literal gamble. I love it. I need to start keeping my stats. What am I doing? Okay. Josh, what's your pick?
Number 5, 5 words, handing the reins to Harv, #the newcomer.
That's a gamble.
For taking the reins away from Gene Roddenberry, moving the show over, the whole franchise over to a total newcomer who was completely outside of Trek. Yet somehow managed to find what's at the heart and inspire new. It was a huge gamble, paid off in spades. We wouldn't be here today without her.
That's Harv Bennett.
Good choice.
I love that. 5 words, handing it over to Harv, the $6 million man. Was I think his biggest claim to fame. He might have had some others like Emergency or something, but a bunch of shows in the 70s that I definitely watched.
Yeah, produced a lot of TV.
And it's really the first thing without Gene Roddenberry.
Yeah.
In fact, they have that memo downstairs on the wall where it's like a Gene Roddenberry memo, like just ripping the name. Like it was at that time was Vengeance of Comedy. He's like, it just sounds like Empire Strikes Back. It's pretty funny and ironic. Yes, Harv Bennett. Any comments? Anybody?
Thank you, Harv.
Yeah,
of course.
I mean, obviously you have to give credit to Gene Roddenberry for Star Trek existing, but you kind of have to give Harv Bennett credit for everything that came after
For bringing it back.
1982, which is inclusive of everything from the Wrath of Khan through to Star Trek Lower Decks Season 3, Episode 1, Grounded.
Yeah.
Who's the Livingston guy on you have to forgive me here, on the center seat? Who basically
Harold Livingston is the writer of TMP, and it's beautiful if you haven't seen the Center Seat documentary.
Phase 2,
right?
The aborted.
But he's the guy that just spends the whole Center Seat just blasting Roddenberry.
Yeah.
It's a
Thinking about how good.
Rest in peace, Harold. He just died.
Yeah. And he just passed
a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
Well, let's pull one out.
All right, Harv Bennett is a great one. I love that, and it's just and the fact that it's the first time you show you can do it without Roddenberry, and so
and he also just made the show feel so real. The characters came.
I mean, he hired Nicholas
brought
Meyer,
that verisimilitude to it, and just great ways.
Brilliant thing.
And just understood story so well.
Because you got to think, it was a 3-season show that went away. How many? It was like 10 years before they took the gamble on the movie, which was, as far as it was well received by fans, but
it didn't exactly inspire excitement.
So think about that. The show had already been gone for 10 years. The first movie, let's just use the word tanked. it could very have easily just faded away.
To be fair, I was 10 years old and I was 12 years old, and I thought about it every night going to bed and listened to the soundtrack every day. TMP. So no matter how boring it was, somehow I was just like, it's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah,
it's funny.
It honestly does get better and better with age, and I think
for sure it
that
does. For sure,
we get older, you appreciate what it's about. For sure.
And there's it lives in a weird space because it was a hit movie, and it was popular, and I'm a little kid and I loved it, but it was missing something, and you knew Wrath of Khan needed to be something different.
Well, it was missing something after Star Wars, because Star Wars was.
Yeah.
Well, they've made enough. They've made enough attempts to get it. Isn't it the most released in the most number of versions of any form of Star Trek ever?
Oh, Star Trek probably.
The motion picture.
I thought you were going to say of any film. I'm like, no, that's every Star Wars movie. Okay, except the originals.
Okay.
Alex, what's your number 5 pick?
5-word summary. Go back, get the Talaxians. # confirm the shuttle was destroyed. This is Star Trek Voyager, Season 2, Episode 26, Basics, Part 1, in which Tom Paris, a character who I'm in the middle of a Voyager rewatch, decided Tom Paris, really great character, suggests in the middle of Voyager about to be taken over by the Kazon, as there are multiple Kazon ships closing in on the decrepit Voyager, that he takes one shuttle and tries to leave. Like, that is rolling the hard 6, friends and neighbors. And like the episode ends, and I mean, obviously he's Tom Paris, he wasn't a great character, he wasn't going to get destroyed, but there's still that element of like, that was a really risky thing to do, and it just paid off, but there was no guarantees to it.
I love it. That's a great. It's a great gamble. It's an awesome episode.
Love it.
That's great. Great episode. I'm gonna rewatch it personally.
Secondary command processes.
Oh, that was such a great twist because you knew something, just like shooting the net, and then also when the computer says no, you can't self-destruct.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what they've been setting up. So, all right, 2 Tom Paris references in the first round of Trek Gambles. I love it. Okay,
Wouldn't want it any other way.
Here is my 5 words and a hashtag. Quark's Klingon Double Down Gambit, hashtag Son of Keldar. It is Quark's double gamble in the House of Quark from Deep Space Nine Season 3. His first gamble is that he lies about killing Kozak, the drunken Klingon in his bar, which is a huge gamble because he has no idea that his family's not going to come and revenge him. Right away. He says, he's telling Rom, like, no, I can explain to it if they show up, but that's not how it works. The Klingons are going to kill him if it goes south. And then the second gamble is when he figures out Dagor, the brother of Grilka, has been doing some Ferengi finagling with her estate. When he gets in front of Gowron in the High Council, he is literally he's going to do hand-to-hand combat, and he throws his bat'leth away and says, "You're not going to kill an unarmed Ferengi in front of all your friends here and shame yourself." That's a huge gamble because this Klingon could have cut him in half. And by the way, the Klingon does decide to cut him in half, and Gowron stops him, and then they discommodate him with the old Klingon turnaround. So I'm going with Quark, Son of Keldar, a double gamble.
Go ahead. Kill me. That is why I'm here, isn't it? To be killed? Well, here I am. So go ahead and do it. You all want me to pick up that sword and fight him, don't you? But I don't have a chance, and you know it. You only want me to put up a fight so that your precious honor will be satisfied. Well, I'm not going to make it so easy for you. Having me fight Dagor is nothing more than an execution. So, if that's what you want, that's what you'll get. An execution. No honor. No glory. And when you tell your children and your grandchildren the glorious story of how you rose to power and took Grilka's house from her, I hope you remember to tell them how you heroically killed an unarmed Ferengi. Half your size.
Whatever you say, Ferengi.
What are you doing?
Nice. My aim is to get out of this evening without everyone doing the double turnaround.
That's right.
You know, if any of my picks really stink and people are doing that in this, you know, we're in a circle right now. I'm kind of like, I'm worried about that. So that's good. But one of Quark's greatest moments, right? You know, where he rolls the dice, but it's kind of also a knowing roll, because what is the honor in murdering a pathetic, whinging Klingon, right? You know, murdering a pathetic, whinging Ferengi. There's no honor in that, surely.
Of course, but Zagor didn't have any honor and was standing there with Battle in front of him and swinging to bring him down. So it's a huge gamble.
That's just for sport.
It was a huge gamble, and by the way, Quark could have just walked away. He didn't have anything.
Yep.
And so the gamble there is that he was gambling his life. Anyway, I love that one. Round 5 is in the books. Let's go to round 4. Debbie, what do you got?
5 words. Didn't we already try animated? Hashtag Mike has lost all control. So it is the production idea of going for another animated series with Lower Decks, and I chose just my personal favorite, season 2, episode 9, Wedge Douche. Love Wedge Douche.
So good. Okay, that's a brilliant pick, because that's a huge. I mean, I'm not sure what any failure at this point with Trek would be really bad, but that's a huge change of direction. First time they've done anything like it. You know,
right.
Adult humor
Exactly.
and having to win people over while also selling the fact that it's real Star Trek.
Absolutely. And like, you risk like alienating hardcore fans who feel like there are things being made fun of, you know, and it's been embraced. I mean, it has been embraced and everything, but I think it was a huge gamble. And plus the original animated series wasn't exactly.
I remember doing a weekly Trek with Alex, and I think we'd just seen Mike McMahon on stage, and having heard the concept, and I think we were both very trepidatious about it, and having seen him on stage, we're just starting to turn around and going, actually, of all the things we've heard about where Trek's going, this is now, it went out from, it changed from being like, what the hell are they trying to do here, to this could be really good. And sure enough, that's exactly what he's done.
Well, and for me personally, being the old person in the room, like my kids grew up watching like Rick and Morty. I never watched that, and I will tell you that the first like couple of episodes of Lower Deck, everything was so fast and furious that I had a really hard time like okay, like it's funny, but I literally had to watch them several times until I really caught into, especially Tawny Newsom's delivery style, which is just, she's so rapid fire. But now that I love it, obviously, but it took me a bit to acclimate to it as well. So I do think it was a big gamble.
It's like, initially they describe it and it's like, yeah, okay, I don't know if that's for me, right? Like, I mean, now I'm all in, 100%.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Buying plates.
Yeah.
Buying plates, buying sock puppets, buying the whole works.
I got from Make It So the Cetacean Ops thing today, which is sensational. Now, where have I been in my life where I don't have a knitted Cetacean Ops character? Like, surely we're living in the greatest times ever, right now.
Definitely. Lower Decks is amazing. All right, Jamie, what do you got?
All right, well, I've decided we have not had enough Tom Paris references. So my 4 words are Yorkshire pudding for the win, #, you're on report. And it is the Paris Radiogenic Sweepstakes from Meld, which if you're doing a Voyager rewatch, you would have recently seen.
Oh, yes.
Which is, of course, the briefest attempt of Voyager to play into the notion that there was actually an issue of scarcity on the ship, where everyone's gambling for their replicator rations, which, of course, were much in demand at the in season 2.
How else are you going to replicate all those shuttles?
That's right. That's right.
3D shuttle print.
And so the great joy of seeing Chakotay, who, of course, it turns out later on had no idea that Tom was putting on a persona. And, Chakotay shuts everything down. And it was also the first time that Voyager tried to do something with a little bit of an arc, plant some seeds that are going to pay off in a later episode. What a gamble that must have been as well. But anyway, I'm sticking with on-screen gambling.
Radiogenic particle density at the measured coordinates was 1873 per cubic meter.
And the winner of 16 replicator rations in the Paris Radiogenic Sweepstakes is... Computer.
There is no winner today.
What? No winner? Computer, are you positive?
Try your luck again. Tomorrow you could be a winner.
Very funny. You heard the little lady. Try your luck again, folks. The pot grows daily until we have a winner. Enter your name on the pad and pick a number. Can I buy you lunch, Mr. Kim? I have an extra ration today.
2 by my count. 10% of the day's action. The only one who wins every day is you.
Tom Paris at Sandrines.
The season 2 Tom Paris arc, first of all, is awesome. I love it. It's so good. And I love this pick because it's a super deep cut, but it's so memorable when they're, computer. Oh, sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's the winner.
I'm just going to skim some off the top here.
So great. It's so Tom Paris. I love it. Anybody have a take on Tom Paris?
For the 4th time.
Great character.
Yeah, he is. He's an underrated character. For sure. Okay. Josh, what's your number 4 pick?
Number 4, 5 words. Yara's back, but not really. Hashtag yesterday's sequel. It's Sela. Bringing back Denise Crosby as her own daughter, as a villain. Bold move. Huge cliffhanger moment.
You're picking Picard season 3, right? Is that
right? Whether it was executed as well as possible, I don't know, but that's a bold move.
Are you picking Redemption? Or Yesterday's Enterprise? No.
Redemption 2.
Yeah,
like
Redemption
her
2.
big, explanation of who she was and all of that. And that's a great scene. It's a great confrontation. That character. I mean, there were so many great possible Romulan recurring characters that could have been, and she could have been a great recurring character for many years to come, but they, for whatever reason, didn't really pursue her as much. But to do that and to sequelize one of the greatest episodes of the previous season, find a way to actually integrate that into the Prime universe, a bold move.
I love this pick. It's a huge gamble on their end. Yeah. But I hear that a lot of people say that about Sela, like they want more. But I always say they had basically a 5-episode Sela arc, if you include Yesterday's Enterprise as the launching point of her. Followed by Redemption 1 and 2, which are my 2 favorite TNG episodes. And Unification 1 and 2. I mean, that's 5 pretty epic episodes
where they ineffectual though, and is basically her last shot has been neck pinched, and you just don't even know. She doesn't even get the dignity of appearing ever after that moment. So, but the fact that they tried to do that and that they had those ideas, that's an awesome gamble. It's a huge gamble for the show that paid off. Unfortunately, it didn't pay off.
She was clearly put to death after the whole plot. After the whole thing fell through.
It'd be awesome if she comes back in season 3.
And Spock was in the first row.
Yeah, right.
All right, I love it. Alex, what is your number 4 pick?
All right, 5-word summary. Troy shows a steel spine. Hashtag taking command of the bridge. This is Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 5, Episode 5, Disaster.
Wow.
And Troy's gamble not to separate the saucer.
Yeah.
That's a great one. That's a big gamble.
It's a huge gamble.
Yeah. She's hoping...
There's no proof of life anywhere in the star drive section. all of the other officers on the bridge who are more experienced with those kinds of emergency situations are recommending emergency saucer separation to move the saucer away from the star drive section because they know there are plenty of survivors in the saucer, but they don't know anybody still alive in the rest of the ship. And Troy stands her ground and says, no, she believes there are people still alive in the star drive section. She believes there are people still alive in engineering, and she wants to give them the time and the ability to save the ship. And they
do their jobs.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, Ro is rolling her eyes.
And it's just like, we got to get the hell out of here.
You said there was no way to stabilize the containment field from the bridge. Could it be done from engineering?
Yes, but my readings indicate there's no power down there. They don't even have monitors to tell them there's a problem.
Could we divert energy from the bridge to those monitors?
Yes, sir.
I will say it again. There is no reason to believe that anyone is still alive in engineering. We're wasting time even talking about this. We have to separate the ship now.
I believe there are still people alive down there. And I'm going to give them every chance. Assuming they're alive, they'll be hoping there's someone up here who can help them. So we'll help them. Chief, divert the necessary power to engineering.
Aye, sir.
I remind you, Counselor, that power coupling could overheat at any moment. By not separating the ship now, you could be responsible for all our deaths.
Thank you, Ensign. Proceed.
I love this fact. What a huge gamble that is, and that fits my prime directive because it's like you could just leave, or you're throwing the dice at it, and if you don't win, you're all gonna die. That's amazing. Disaster, anybody?
Oh,
great episode.
Great pick and great episode.
And honestly, one of the best Troy moments
for sure.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And yeah, we probably would not have gotten episodes like Ace of the
Ace of the
Enemy
Enemy,
without that episode sort of laying that groundwork for her, and then also her arc of
I mean, it was
trying to become a command officer on the bridge later in season 7 and all that.
Jellicoe putting her in a uniform. Come on.
total command authority for her. Don't bring up Jellicoe. Come on. Okay, here we go.
I gambled.
My round 4 pick. Oh, Alex, you're gonna like this. 5 words and a hashtag. The DS9 Free Press Gambit hashtag. I'm a reporter. This is where I belong. It's Jake Sisko's gamble to stay on Deep Space Nine, knowing that he could get put to death.
Yeah,
I mean, he's the son of Sisko, the commanding officer, the emissary, the whole bit, and he's staying there to be a journalist. So he's really putting it all on the line. And I mean, I love Call to Arms, and I think they execute this so well with everybody's gone and Quark's like setting up the bar, and then you see Jake sitting there like, what?
Yeah.
And then they cut to Sisko and he's like, he did what? And he's pissed, but he's like, nah, he's a grown man. He makes his own decision. We're not going back to get him. Super brave decision, really well executed. Great job by Sherlock Robson and the writers.
Such a 1990s attitude, isn't it? That journalism is a serious role that both sides of a war would respect. To have a journalist embedded somewhere, he's treated with a modicum of understanding from the people who come in to take over. You know, it's such a 1990s concept.
I mean,
that kind of shit would not fly today. Would it? You know,
it's called science fiction. Oh man. All right, anybody else with a take on Jake Sisko? Stand by.
That's a great one. And
And
then and just a great arc for Jake, and just also that whole arc in general, full of great gamble moments for the show.
Yeah,
totally upending the concept for episodes on end.
Production gamble.
Amazing.
It's one of those things you imagine sitting there in the writer's room when someone says, "Oh, imagine if Jake stays on the station." You know,
maybe setting him up as a writer. You wonder when that kind of clicked. That we're setting him up as a writer. We get him to stay there.
And that, I mean, talk about idealism, right? Oh boy,
beautiful thing. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Okay,
only a writer could come up with that.
But it is funny every time they show like the writers. It's like these are writers dreaming about being writers.
Yeah.
Talking about writers.
That's what they say about the muse, right? Only a writer could have come up with something where someone is entranced by someone writing. But anyway.
Exactly. All right. Soup round. Deb, what's your number 3 pick? Actually, we're in Vegas. Let's do the Davo round. Let's make it the Davo round. Davo! Deb, what do you got?
Great lead in. Thank you very much, Mr. Moorhouse. My 5 words: set series on a station, hashtag serialization before streaming. And I chose DS9, season 1, episode 1, Emissary, just because it was the beginning of it all. And there were pieces even in there that threads that carry through.
I like that serialization before streaming. That was a huge gamble.
Right.
Because
because
it got hammered. People were like annoyed. And
count me as one of them, because after about the first, I guess maybe a couple seasons, I had some things in life where I couldn't tune in on whatever night of the week it was on. And then I'd come in like 3 or 4 weeks later and be like, what in the hell's going on? And believe me, I started DS9 like TNG. I recorded every episode on videotape, and I lost place, and I was like, I don't even know what's going on in this show anymore. And I literally gave up on it for a long time.
Well, there's also the part of this that boring critique of, well, I'm not going anywhere. And it's like,
Deep Sleep 9.
Yeah. Or the one I hated,
Marina,
which my wife came up with, Deep Waste of Time. I was like, ooh, shut up, that's too good.
That's too good.
There's always
That's too
the
good.
Marina started special, the Deep Throat 9.
That is Ken Riley in the studio audience chiming in from Drecor. Anybody else with a comment on Deep Space Nine's launch?
Well, you might as well fire those.
I forgot a duplicate. Okay.
My number 3 pick. 5 words. The Dreamer's now the dream. Hashtag the best is yet to come. The entirety of Deep Space Nine.
So
because going from not only the gamble of the silver serialization, but every aspect of Deep Space Nine's creation was a gamble. It was the complete opposite of TNG.
Right.
They took a show that was very popular, the people knew what that was, and then they said, let's just go in the complete opposite direction. Let's put it on a stationary base. Let's make it serialized, make it dark, make it dirty, make it all those things that were huge gambles that some fans immediately were either into or not, or many years later realized that they were into after initially. Deep Space Nine, brilliant.
And even the actors talk about how they knew they were like the redheaded stepchild and they could get away with stuff, but they ended up at the time they were like, but then they ended up really embracing it.
Every time I see Armin Shimmerman at a convention, he always makes the point of saying, but I knew. He'll ask one of the other cast, remember what I said at the time? They'll discover us. us. The number of years I think he suggested it would take for them for us to discover DS9 changes at every convention. But it's true, and he was 100% right, which was eventually we came to the show. And there's a reason why obviously Paramount is going to spend all that money on updating it into HD because we all love it so much, right? Isn't that going to happen? That's going to happen someday, surely.
It's going to happen someday when the technology makes it just flicking the switch. It's going to happen.
How about the mini gamble of having a Ferengi as a main character to begin with after their disastrous
that'd be a good production
launch?
So, Jim, how did the stats work on the pick of every single episode of DS9 and every single decision made on that show?
What episode did you pick?
Well, I mean, I could go with.
I'm going with Emissary. Duplicate.
Because again, also, and to mention how great a pilot that is. That's a pilot that you can look at to study, to write your own pilot. Every single thing that happens in that pilot is paid off sometimes years later, sometimes just a couple episodes later or whatever. But, you could watch that pilot and then jump into like season 7 and not really be lost.
Yeah.
It's just so well constructed. within that teaser, which is why it was one of those top 5 teasers.
Right.
Everything you need to know
all that.
is fed to you in such a way that it's just they had enough story within that first 2 minutes to tell a whole 7-season arc, and
I need to watch some Deep Space Nine
Michael
later.
Thor.
It's that good. I love it. All right, Jamie, how about you? What's your number 3 double round pick?
Okay, I'm going to continue my my literal gambling trip through my picks, and we're going to the one that you referenced a little bit earlier. 100 quatloos on the newcomers. It is hashtag power, fame, women. It is the Gangsters of Triskelion, where Kirk, of course, argues successfully that humankind is the greatest, most successful gamblers in the universe.
Yeah, they are.
And in so doing, manages to trick the traffic light capsicums that are sitting there in the.
They're called providers.
Peppers, aren't they? In the US, they're known as those 3 kind of like red, green, yellow, and they trick him. He tricks them, of course, into giving him a chance to. Go and skewer some Neanderthals, and it's a great Trek moment, and one of Kirk's better gambits, where he's rolling the dice as well, that he can defeat 3-on-1, and so I like there was a combination there, both the gambling of the quatloos and the gambling that Kirk took in the pick. So Gangsters of Triskelion, obvious. But in these episodes, in these shows, someone has to do the obvious one, right?
Thank you for picking this, because I love this episode. I almost picked it from our Uhura episodes because I really like it.
Yeah.
But this is all-time classic, and it's just they literally talk about gambling and how. I mean, he's literally standing there saying, "We're the best gamblers in the universe. You just take us on." I love it.
I did see this episode on the Star Trek cruise done with various actors providing the voiceover, done mystery, what do you call it here? Mystery Science Theater 2000 or whatever it is, where someone else provides the voices. It was hysterical and highly recommended. Little activity, that one. So there you go.
I love it.
Gangsters of Triskelion.
Anybody else? Gangsters, all-time classic.
Oh, yes.
Okay, Alex, number 5.
Okay.
Number 3. What do you got?
5-word summary. Pike makes the wrong move. Hashtag reach for James T. Kirk.
Wow.
This is Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Season 1, Episode 10, Equality of Mercy. Woo! I did not just want to pick gambles that paid off. I wanted to pick gambles that went horribly wrong.
Okay, that's good. You didn't mention that in your Prime Directive. That's a good twist.
And this one goes horribly wrong.
Yeah.
From the perspective of alternate Pike, who happens to find himself, being the one in charge of the Enterprise during Balance of Terror.
Yeah.
Kirk's decision in Balance of Terror is to pursue the military option.
Also a gamble.
Also a gamble, definitely.
And as a production level, introducing Captain Kirk in Season 1 of Strange New Worlds is a huge gamble.
That is in the midst of paying off in a huge way.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Right. So Pike makes the decision to do the good Starfleet captain, 24th century style, sort of conciliatory, let's make peace, let's not do this. It causes a massive war between the Federation and the Romulan Empire that leads to the near death of Spock, right? Big gamble not to do what Kirk was suggesting, which was just destroy the damn ship, and instead to extend the olive branch that catastrophically failed. Big gamble.
I'm stunned to silence. This is a hot off the press pick, and I love it. And it was, listen, the whole episode.
Not to mention the gamble of returning the Monster Maroon into Star Trek.
Oh, God.
In a beautifully updated way.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Everything about this episode.
Yeah, those leather panels.
Beautiful. Walking in here, there was that was on my list, and I was going to do the TrekRanks cheat and try and get both Balance of Terror and Quality of Mercy in the same pick, right?
Yeah.
Because to be fair, Alex, it's the same decision, just in 2 different universes, right?
Yeah.
So you really get both picks in one here because it's the exact same gamble, just through 2 different lenses.
Yeah.
And what an amazing writing piece to write that episode and redo an original series episode, but through the looking glass. And it just Strange New Worlds knocked it out of the park, right?
It's amazing.
Well, and the other gamble is that, like, you look at that was kind of done with Into Darkness, which was a lot of people not well received. So
that was a huge gamble.
So to be doing a classic episode over again, production wise, was a gamble.
I think I talked about that in our Strange World show. So, and I'm going to throw this out there because it's this weird gamble that no one's talking about, but I don't think it's mattered, and I think people picked up on it. Like 3 of the last 5 episodes, they kind of make Pike. I'm not going to say he's a joke or frivolous, but like he's not like super authoritative or succeeding. So I'm talking about Serene Squall.
Yeah.
Okay. He's a little bit he's kind of mugging for the camera. He's doing the pirate thing.
Yeah.
He's got food on his face and he's like trying to scan it. It's not like the most authoritative captain picture. Then you've got the Elysian Kingdom where he's literally like the butt of the joke the whole episode. And then you got a Quality of Mercy where all of his decisions are
cocks the whole
kind of messing everything up. And I'm like, this is your hero captain. And they've made this really interesting decision that I haven't heard too many people talk about, that he's not like your flawless, perfect captain. Anyway, I just think it's really interesting. And I love it.
Human captain, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I guess my point is it's kind of a gamble to present him that way, and it's working without any question. Okay, that's awesome.
Well, it's so funny because you say that, and he also, he addresses his crew by their first names and stuff.
The castle,
and literally, as I have just rewatched Equinox, and that's a point that Janeway brings up to Ransom, is like, hey, I noticed your crew will call you by your first name and stuff. Like he makes the casual work, but it's
Debbie bringing up Jellicoe and Ransom, my 2 most hated captains in the sci-fi. Wow. Okay, let's close out the Dabo round with my pick. Oh, I'm going with another classic that needed to be picked today. It's the quintessential Trek gamble. 5 words and a hashtag. Risk is our business gambit. Hashtag. That's why we're aboard her. It's Tomorrow is Yesterday from TOS. It's Kirk's huge gamble. I mean, this is a massive gamble. The only thing they were going to gain was some knowledge and a cool experience to help these phantom talking heads turn into some kind of android. They're going to build like robot bodies and then come out of them, and they're all powerful, and they're letting them take over their bodies. And really, it's a huge gamble from Kirk. It almost blows up in his face with Sargon, Thalesa, Enoch, the whole gamble. You know this episode Tomorrow's Yesterday. I know you love it. Risk is our business.
I love it.
Okay.
Diana Muldaur.
If you were to take a monologue that kind of encapsulates, the original series in one, like you wouldn't. That's where you'd go, right? If you were an editor and someone said, "Give me the best clips out of the original series that talk about what's the point of the show," you'd go there, right?
It's the Star Trek speech.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure, in the top 5 Kirk speeches.
Yeah, I mean, it's no doubt. Like your great grandfather used to do. All right, that was a DC Fontana script, by the way. And by the way, it's even better now coming off of Strange New Worlds because the Chapel stuff in Tomorrow's Yesterday is with Spock, and it's so good. Okay, here we go. Round two. Deb, what do you got?
I had to bring actual gambling into my gambling.
Okay.
So my 5 words are plenty of purposeful poker playing. Shout out to Rich Masters. Hashtag abstract threes. And my episode is TNG season 5, episode 18, Cause and Effect. So obviously all the playing poker again and again and again, but in a production sense, that is a huge gamble to keep having the same scene repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating. And even Frakes talks about like he filmed it from different angles and stuff to make it look, but you're watching an hour-long show and you watch the same scene 6 times in the episode. That's a big gamble.
I thought your gamble here was going to be to have the show blow up in the first few seconds of the show.
It's a fantastic point, though. Because I mean that's too, but being repetitive like that, the fabled story that people thought the syndication was messed up and they were restarting the episode. But it's also it can be, I don't know, if you shoot the same thing over and over, show it kind of lose interest in life.
And then they were gambling. They're playing poker.
Yeah, and they're playing poker. I love this pick.
And I had my alliterative 5 words.
And a shout out to Rich Masters. I love that.
Exactly.
I love that.
This one almost ended up on my list not for the production reason of like it's a gamble to do a show that's just repeating over and over again, and clearly was, right, because they talk about how the like local stations got calls from people saying, I think the episode's messed up because it just keeps starting over and over again. But for me, the in-universe one is Data ultimately concluding that the 3 refers to the number of pips on Riker's collar, and decompressing the main shuttle bay as the solution to it, which is a gamble, right? Like
that's why I love it.
That's an awfully strange association.
I like it. Although at that point, might as well do everything.
Yeah, right.
Good job, Data. Okay, Jamie, what's your number 2 pick?
All right, time for some more alliteration. If that's the way we're going. So my 5 words are Cisco space swap sources stabilizer. Hashtag the river will provide, and it is Nog chancing his lobes that he can trade and swindle and gamble his way to the graviton stabilizer through Cisco's desk and an induction modulator and a phaser emitter and Martok's bloodline and whatever the heck else he managed to do. I thought that was a great little subplot in Treachery Faced in the Great River, one of the best episode titles in Trek. And, just, again, a wonderful little character piece in the B-plot for Aaron Eisenberg and Nog, showing that here's a Starfleet officer who has his shit together and actually knows what he's doing and is taking his culture, his approach to life, and building that into Starfleet, making it better. But each decision he made was a bit of a gamble as to whether or not, eventually he's going to end up what he wants by trading off Cisco's desk. So anyway, great episode, great little play there for Nog. So that's my pick.
I love that.
Also, a cool callback to the season 1 with the yamok sauce and the stem bulge, because they did the same thing when they were kids with the trade.
That's right. Land did.
Yeah. Why do we want dirt? We want dirt. You're trading for dirt.
The river will provide. I love it. That's such a good pick. The quintessential Nog. And yeah, it was a huge gamble for him. A huge gamble. I love it. And for O'Brien. Okay.
Yeah, for O'Brien to put his trust in Nog.
Exactly.
There is one scene where you just get this look from Colomini, and he's like, all right, okay.
It was a gamble for O'Brien that I don't think he knew he was making. So once he realized he was knee deep in it.
So, once he has his picture, he's going to send us the graviton stabilizer.
No, he's giving us an induction modulator.
But we don't need an induction modulator.
But the USS Musashi does.
So the Musashi is going to send us the stabilizer?
No, they're giving us a phaser emitter.
But we don't need a phaser emitter.
I know, but the USS Sentinel does. And they have the extra stabilizer.
And they're willing to give it up for a phaser emitter?
That's the rumor.
Rumor? Well, you've made all these deals based on a rumor?
From a very reliable source.
But what if it turns out not to be true?
You have to have faith, Chief.
In a rumor?
No, in the great material continuum.
Okay, Josh, what's your number 2 pick?
2 words. First proper cliffhanger is the best. Hashtag pins and needles. Mr. Worf, fire. TNG ever made. Best cliffhanger they ever produced. There's a painful summer of waiting to find out what the hell is going to happen after this. Nobody knew. It was just again, they arrived in just a huge way. They took the role that
I love it.
Wow. We are doing some of the greatest moments in Trek in this episode, with the exception of my picks. But that's okay. All right.
I mean, no, you're treachery faith. That's amazing. Yeah, that's I like that the way you're approaching that because it's something they've never done it before.
So it's a gamble. Itself was a gamble.
Yeah.
Something we had also never seen the ship even do.
Yeah.
Suddenly use the deflector dish.
Yeah.
That was an amazing moment. And then also to then come back to part 2 and then nothing happened. But the Borg already knew everything.
But it's set up.
Brilliant.
It's set up so much Trek. Because it's set up First Contact.
Yeah.
It's effectively set up the 3 seasons of Picard that we've had, right?
Yeah.
Which none of that would have happened without that decision, that moment, that gamble that, hey, we're gonna turn Picard into a Borg.
But from a production standpoint too, literally it's the first time they are doing a cliffhanger like that.
Proper 2-parter.
At a season ending kind of point. And then so what did they do after that? About 15 more cliffhangers. I mean, it was the first one. They're like, yeah, that worked, so we're gonna keep doing it.
Who shot
and they
JR?
followed it up ultimately with the third part, just unofficially with
True,
family.
yeah.
So
that was a production game.
And also that's those beginning steps into real serialization as well.
Quite an erudite selection, John. Okay, Alex, what do you got?
All right, we're staying on theme for this one. I want to do the whole line, so the 5-word summary is just the last 5 words of the line, and I got to do if this doesn't matter for the podcast audience, but I got to get in character, so I got to do the hand thing. What if I made a deal with the devil? Hashtag an alliance with the Borg? This is Star Trek Voyager, Season 3, Episode 26, Scorpion Part 1, and Janeway's decision to make a deal with the Borg, which, after the best of both worlds,
This is great.
Perfect
segue.
And everything we know about the Borg up to that point,
we've planned this nicely.
Seems like a really bad idea.
What if I made an appeal to the devil?
An alliance with the Borg?
More like an exchange. We offer them a way to defeat their new enemy. And in return, we get safe passage through their space.
Huge gamble. It barely pays off, but it pays off.
Pays off.
And it creates this great conflict between Janeway and Chakotay that plays out over both part 1 and part 2, right? Scorpion and the Fox, blah, 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 in which they are disagreeing over whether the gamble is worth it or not.
I didn't think of this one, but I'm wondering what your number 1's going to be, because this is one of the biggest gamble setups in Trek, for sure.
I got a doozy for number 1.
I mean, an alliance with the Borg is about as big as any universe as it gets. I love it. Anybody else?
Plus, it also brings in the gamble of adding an entirely new cast member into the show who completely changes the entire dynamic of the show for, obviously better. But yeah, we would not know until all those events progressed. It was a game changer for Voyager.
I'm loving it. That is fantastic. All right, let's close it out. Round 2. My 5 words and a hashtag. The impure chemocyte displacement gambit, hashtag trusting Greylick. And it is the shipment from Enterprise when Archer figures out okay, we're here. We are at a point in this Xindi arc where we can blow this key production plant off the face of the planet. We can do some real damage. We can attack. We can go on the offensive. And halfway through the episode, he kind of realizes this is not going to do us any good if we do that, and it just gets them more resolute to come back stronger. So he comes up with this plan after meeting Greylick, and they have a very contentious relationship. There's nothing Greylick really does that makes you say, "Oh, this guy's on our side. I can trust him." But in the end, he says, "No, we're going to sneak out of here. We're going to put a tracer in the Integra ship, and then they sabotage some of the chemocyte and hoping that will adversely affect the weapon while they continue to work a diplomatic solution to this thing." A huge gamble that pays off a little bit later with Proving Ground and some other episodes. But again, this is one of those decisions where the easy way out, they could have just fought a war. Hey, that sounds like the United States. Or you could take some time and work and try to work some angles. The Shipment, Enterprise, anybody? Comments?
I love this episode. I love Greylick. I love the element of because up to this point, there had been no universe within which Archer would ever conceive of trusting a member of the Xindi.
Yep.
And he didn't even conceive of them as people, right? He just conceived of them as the enemy, and it was his job to go out and destroy them. Yeah, right. Post 9/11, United States of America, anyone?
Yep.
And this is the moment where season 3 turns from a story about the Iraq War to a story about what should have happened, which is recognizing that people are people, and that yes, they might have strange motivations that don't match your own. But if you can just look past that and come to understand somebody else and what's driving them, you actually might see there's a third alternative other than blowing each other up.
Yep. That's exactly what happened.
That's also the episode then also where it goes from 9/11 Parable to Star Trek episode.
Yes.
To the Star Trek. To the ambulance.
Right. Yes.
Because, my recollection at the time, just feeling very frustrated with the Xindi arc and, the decisions that they were making, and Archer almost airlocking people, just those things didn't jive well. And then, and then years later, really kind of rediscovering Enterprise and then being like, no, they did find a Star Trek.
Yeah.
I was
I
was just going to say that because this is the point where that whole arc, there was a moment where I was just I'm not comfortable with this. They're just going in guns blazing, and every line for Trip was
desperate to get through. Later on, I mean, secondary systems. When Archer has to, steal the warp coils from the ship, and they have to do what they have to do.
I mean, it's
never gets so desperate.
It's always difficult, but this was a good turning point to show that we can stay on message with kind of what we're doing.
Because ultimately, the solution to that season, as much as we think about Azati Prime, Countdown, 0 Hour being big action set piece episodes, the actual solution to the season is about people working together with each other.
Correct. Yeah. Okay, round one.
We did this our first Archer mention. If we put all the Trek captains around a table and had them play poker, and who's winning?
Kirk never loses.
Well, they're not playing Fizbin.
They would be, but they would be by the end.
They would be by the end. I just think Archer strikes me as he could be a sleeper in that category. That's all. No.
I don't think he's got a good
only with a
face.
giant bowl of unsalted pretzels.
and a teeny tiny glass of beer.
I'm gonna double down on this and say not only would Kirk win, he would win easily.
Oh yeah,
he would beat the rest. Cisco, Picard, Archer. He would destroy them. That is just the truth. That's just hit me up on Twitter if you disagree. I'm pretty sure Kirk would destroy them in poker. Okay.
Call TrekRanks.
Round one.
Picard sending Riker in to play for him.
And I love Picard. Oh, that would actually help. See, then if Picard did that, then Riker would compete. Okay, Deb, what's your pick?
Begin round one.
All right. My number one pick is going to be a production, but it's also going to be in universe. I had to go for
that's kind of like your last pick was
I had to go for the dual gamble. So my 5 words are Red Angel flies to future.
Yeah. Okay.
Hashtag, and this is my in universe part, but Leland's aboard.
What?
And it's Discovery Season 2, 14, Such Sweet Sorrow, Part 2. The production side that to take the show in the direction completely different.
What a gamble.
Yes. It was intended to be a prequel to TOS and all that. And they arced that whole season just to get to season 3 and change the direction of the show. And I love the 31st century. So, but the part that bugs me is that they're going and she's off and Spock's in the shuttlecraft. Leland's on the damn ship. So it's this huge gamble that they're going to defeat Control because they could be taking control right through to the 31st century.
Was your hashtag Leland's aboard?
Aboard. Aboard.
Oh, aboard. Okay, I thought you were saying he's either a bore, which he was. Aboard, because he kind of had all those nanobots and things in him.
He's on the
But you're saying Leland's aboard. Got it. There is actually
the Borg is aboard. I think
there's a weird throwaway line in there about that kind of navigates that. But I know what you're talking about.
But there isn't because
no, there was. I gotta figure out what it was. There's a weird little throwaway line where it's like, yeah, but we know he's here and we have him contained, and we wouldn't know. It didn't make a lot of sense, but yes.
Because it wasn't until Giorgio magnetized him in the spore cube that then all of a sudden that's when the rest of the ships just went dead, and they were like, okay, let's. So clearly, until he was neutralized, the thing they're trying to get away from is on the damn ship. Hello. That's a huge gamble that they're saying, go, launch out of here.
I got you. So this fits as a gamble.
It's a huge gamble.
This was on my secondary systems. My gamble was a little different. My gamble was just, you have no idea what's on the other side, right? You're heading into the far future, but you have no idea what you're going to find when you get there. That is a gamble.
Yeah. Because
it might be terrible.
And it
ended up being pretty terrible.
I love that production, though. That's a great thought. Did you pick Red Angel as your episode, or
No, I picked Such Sweet Sorrow Part 2.
Got it. Cool. I love that. Great shout out for Discovery. And Jamie, what is your?
All right, as we come to the end of my literal gambling picks. I got to go to one of my favorite episodes, given where we are. So my 5 words are Vegas-iest Trek since the Royale. # tonight, everyone's a winner. And it is the gambling moment of Cisco playing craps at the table, distracting everyone in his gambit to create time for Odo and Nog's heist to be successful, because the fate of the universe is in the balance. The fate of this hologram program is in the balance. And I love me some small stakes Trek, which is what I've really liked about Strange New Worlds recently. And given we're here in Vegas, all having a good time, I think Bada Bing, Bada Bang is a great pick for a good gambler Trek. So
you're here.
That's perfect pick for you, too.
Yes, I'm a big Vic Fontaine fan. Shout out to Fanset's got my Vic Fontaine pin today, so I'm all happy. But yes, Bada Bing, Bada Bang.
The saving of Vic Fontaine, I love it.
I have a lot of fun memories of watching this episode, and it's just fun, right? It's a really
just
fun episode that it sort of is just like that, right? Like, what if we just had a low stakes gambling episode?
Right.
Perfect.
Right.
Low stakes gambling. You don't do much of that, do you, Josh?
No. That's Josh Duffy, our resident gambler here.
Would have been on my list.
Who should be doing his
exactly. How is it that the guy who manages to flag himself a room at the Aria because of how much he gambled begs off doing the top 5 gambles?
He was too lazy to do his homework for the because he was gambling.
Where's the money? I love it. Where's the money? That came up in sleazy locales the last time we did. Okay, Josh, what's your number 1 pick?
Number 1, 5 words. A bald British French captain.
Oh yeah.
# Bob Justman knows best.
Yes.
It's the casting of Sir Patrick Stewart.
Oh, brilliant.
In the role of
Hell,
Picard.
yes, it is.
Brilliant.
To have gone from William Shatner's Kirk to the much more erudite Captain Picard. Huge gamble. One that not even Gene was necessarily on board with and had to be convinced. And thank God he was, because we wouldn't be here today without
the most
Patrick
successful
Stewart.
gamble in Star Trek history is Jean-Luc Picard.
Mhm.
But just the fact that there's a conversation about Picard versus Kirk.
Yeah.
I mean,
It should be no contest.
You literally have you've just captured lightning in a bottle again.
Yeah.
What episode did you pick? Encounter?
Encounter. It's our first appearance.
I love this.
The real gamble, though, would have been when that toupee came out of the box, right? I know, kind of put that on him and took a couple of production shots, and then or you think that was a slam dunk? No gamble there?
No, I think the flip side, it would have been the gamble to go with a toupee.
Yeah. But wasn't one of the key moments Roddenberry settled on Patrick Stewart when he decided that they wouldn't care in the in the far future when someone was brought on up? So it was kind of
after seeing
after seeing
right.
And then he got on board. Yeah. And what you're seeing after there. Oh yes.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can't argue with gravitas.
That's an epic number one. I love that.
That's
Sounds
so
like
good.
sounds like we might have another epic number one coming up. Alex, what do you got?
All right. This is my second unsuccessful gamble, but the biggest gamble, in my opinion, in Star Trek
it's an
history.
unsuccessful gamble.
It's an unsuccessful gamble. It's in universe.
Okay.
And you're about to find out what it is. 5-word summary.
Let's just stop.
I can live with it. Hashtag erase that entire personal log.
Sorry, that gamble paid off.
Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Season 6, Episode 19, In the Pale Moonlight. It did pay off, but not for Sisko, right? Like, the gamble that he thought he was making failed. The gamble that Garrick was making behind his back paid off. But the one that Sisko was doing the whole episode was a failure. The moment he walks into that office.
Oh, you mean the
Freenak holds up the isolinear rod and says that it's a fake. Sisko's gamble failed. It's a fake.
Thank you.
It's a fake.
Sisko's gamble failed. And yet, because there was someone slightly craftier gambling behind the scenes, one dead Romulan senator, a seemingly genuine optolytic data rod, I ask you, which conclusion would you draw? It paid off.
Okay, I love that. So his goal was a home run, but his gamble with the isolated rod failed.
Yes.
And Garrick's gamble paid. I love it. That's brilliant. That's fantastic. In a pale moonlight, people. Come on.
Yeah. We've run
I'll beat it.
We've run the gamut of Top Trek tonight.
We seriously have hit a lot. Okay, fantastic. We'll close it out. I've got another one that I think is a major all-time great episode. And I previewed this pick a few weeks ago on TrekRanks. We were doing our top 5 unjustly accused storylines. Ross Webster picked this episode, and I knew that this was going to be my number one pick. And I said, temporal causality loop. I teased it because I know no one would know what episode it was going to be because it's a real obscure gamble, but I love it. This is the first one I thought of when it came up because I love this gamble and I love the way they execute it. 5 words in hashtag Janeway's reckless binary pulsar gambit, hashtag increased structural integrity. And it's Janeway flying the Voyager through the binary pulsar.
Can I tell you, I was just listening to that episode earlier today, and I was listening to you talk about it, and I was like, of course that's a top 5 gamble.
Oh, you knew it. Okay, yeah.
And it's on my secondary systems. I almost put it on my list, but then I was like, no, it just came up on episode 2 weeks ago. There's no way I'm putting it on my list.
That's so funny. I figured, I mean, it's kind of an obscure moment, but or not like, I mean, it's a really well-respected episode, but it's an underrated episode.
Well, she asked Tuvok the odds, and he's like, not good.
No, yeah, she's like, I estimate the odds at 1 in 10. Tuvok's like, it's 1 in 20. But it's really well executed. The tension of it, because you got these creepy, the aliens, they're called the Siravani, and they're just like, you're not going to do this. You're not. And she's like, oh, I'm doing it because you've been testing all my abilities and yada, yada. And she's ready to explode. She's like, you're making me do this. And I love it because then they're just like, last second, they're like, all right, we're getting our ships and getting out. And one of them blows up, which is awesome. I love that because they get just desserts. Yeah, the whole production on this is amazing. It's just a great finale and a great gamble. Scientific method, anybody?
Love it.
Love it. Great episode.
Okay.
With number one.
I feel like that episode, that's one that gets picked a lot on TrekRanks, isn't it?
I mean, it's pretty popular.
I think there was,
episode.
yeah.
Let's do a quick search. Control F. Scientific method has come up. Oh my God! It's only been picked. It's been picked 4 times. That's not bad.
That's not bad.
Yeah, 4 times. Okay, fantastic. Let's hear some secondary systems picks. Deb, what do you got?
Let's see what you can do with the secondary systems.
Star Trek 2009 recasting.
production
rebooting
design.
and having an alternate timeline for the entire series.
That makes perfect sense. I love it. Jamie, you got any?
I've got plenty.
Okay.
Let's start with Hanok from Starship Down, is it?
Yeah.
Who in a key moment lectures the audience as well as Quark. Gambling is the last recourse of the desperate. Only a fool would risk losing what he has to chance.
Oh my God.
That's a message for you there, Josh. But I thought
That's great.
I thought that'd be a great moment. I've got a couple of others.
Well, then there's the Quark moment too when he pulls the rod out of the torpedo.
Yes,
Gotta
exactly.
gamble.
And then,
that's what
by the end of the episode,
they're buddies.
Hanok is like, I love gambling. I want to gamble on everything.
That's the whole point for that little sea plot or whatever it is. It's great fun. Has Mazzaro's Karma Barge from All In.
All
bit of discovery
in.
there.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed Move Along Home didn't get any.
That's not really
Move Along Home.
It's not a gamble. It's just a game.
Well said.
Please. some of the Royale didn't get mentioned tonight. Plenty of gambling in the Royale.
Baby needs a new pair of shoes.
Baby needs a new pair of shoes. And I'll finish with one of my favorite episodes of DS9 that no one else likes in the world, which is Rivals. Of course, we have. A lot of people don't like that. I like it.
It's fun.
It's
a fun one.
It's so much fun. I like. It's just again low stakes Trek is where I'm at. We've just accidentally replicated a device that changes the laws of probability. You know, I mean that's just a regular Thursday. On it happens. You know,
that sounds like a Lower Decks plot.
That's and Lower Decks have already surely this season, aren't they? They're actually grabbing onto the. They're going to lean into whatever Bashir wears playing racquetball or springball. Bajoran springball, right?
Yeah.
So whatever he's wearing, I think that particular suit that he's wearing is going to make a comeback into Trek. I think. So anyway, Rivals, good gambling
I'd
episode.
like to go on Mortis Mazzaro's Karma Barge.
The Karma Barge is cool. I will say Rivals is bottom 10 on DS9. TrekRanks, bottom 10.
Wow.
Sorry, Matt.
Still good though. Still good though, right? It's
still better than basically anything that's not.
Really, it's one of the top one. It's one of the top 179 episodes of Deep Space Nine, right?
Some is less good than others.
Josh, what do you got?
Well, I didn't have enough time to put together an official secondary system.
No, if you don't have it, don't worry about it.
That said, I'd like to highlight the Zindi arc.
Yes,
decisions Archer makes are just huge, and
that's a big production gamble.
To have gone huge production gamble, was a whole full season story arc, and to have gone from going, feeling like the show's suddenly going very right wing and very 9/11 post 9/11, to then finding that Star Trek message at the end. Chef's kiss, and of course, the moment where Archer has to. Steal of the warp core, warp coils. It's just a great blow / gamble for him that he has to live with. Sim also tough decisions.
Yeah. Okay, Alex.
We've done most of mine, but I have two more. One successful gamble, one unsuccessful gamble. Successful gamble, Captain Dathon's plan to connect with Picard and Darmok. What a gamble. Yeah. Beam down to a planet to take on some weird creature or, with nothing but a pair of ceremonial knives. It's a pretty big gamble. Gamble that didn't pay off. This is not going to be ultra current by the time this episode comes out, but it's ultra current for those of us in the room. Star Trek Lower Decks Season 3, Episode 1, Grounded. The Lower Deckers making the decision to go steal the Cerritos to try and clear... Captain.
Spoiler alert, I'm halfway through.
I got You got a spoiler alert at the beginning of that.
Black alert. I knew what you were signing up for. It didn't pay off, right? Because they had nothing to do with the resolution to the episode.
Oh, no, that's a real spoiler. I love it. Okay. This is great. That's a great one. I love it. Brilliant.
One more has come to mind. Cisco leaving his baseball behind
That's
as the
good.
station, because we know how much that means to him.
The gambles that he's never going to
and
see that
then
back.
there's no guarantee he's going to get that back. So there you go. Sorry.
Okay, I have a couple more. Yesterday's Enterprise was on my Picard's gamble to send them back in time. I had out of universe the decision as part of the Enterprise series launch to make the Vulcans kind of the foil
Yes.
and have to kind of earn their way up.
Some of the hardest decisions they made.
A
for
huge
sure.
gamble. A huge
A lot of
gamble.
fans were turned off by it, but when you
People
look at
were.
it in retrospect, it makes
Exactly.
100% sense.
But at
and
some level, it might.
accepted it.
It was a tough gamble early because a lot of people didn't like it because of that. So, but it was a big gamble.
Well, it's a gamble also. A lot of those early decisions were a gamble against people's preconceptions of what they thought was canon.
Yes.
Exactly.
Stuff we never actually seen, but it's just something people inferred.
Same thing's happening with Strange New Worlds.
And then I had.
Are you saying that Star Trek fans read a lot into stuff and make up stuff themselves that isn't necessarily seen on screen? Is that what you're suggesting?
No.
No. Oh, right. Okay. Sorry.
I also have Space Nazi at the end of Zero.
Oh,
It was a
yeah.
huge gamble
Especially
with
considering
front.
they were not sure they were even getting renewed.
Not even sure they were coming back.
Right.
Plus,
Imagine
it's
if that was the end of Star Trek.
It could have been the end of Star Trek.
Space Nazi.
There are some people who would argue that would have been better than what actually finished it.
Hey, and then I had my last one. I had Picard in Booby Trap, his kind of gamble to push the ship towards the asteroid spin out.
Yeah.
And then my last one, I would have picked Spock's gamble of blowing up the flare blowing up the plasma exhaust in Galileo 7, but I pick Galileo 7 all the time. So I'm picking that as my successful shout out alongside Trip blowing up the engine in Shuttle Pod 1 and doing the same thing.
Yep. An engineer does not blow up his own engine.
I love it. All right. Amazing.
Yeah, I got a couple. Yeah,
Oh, yes. Ken,
no,
jump
please,
in.
edit this out if you're going to talk.
Ken,
before I
no,
do that.
jump in. What do you got?
So I'm going to say using Voyager to launch UPN.
Oh, that's a good one.
Nice.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
using Discovery to sort of give CBS All Access its first
Yes.
big boost.
Yeah.
Sure. Yep.
Dropping the title Star Trek from Enterprise.
Yeah. Oh, big gamble.
Are these all
Not
failed
pay off.
gambles?
No. Are you the Enterprise team? So, kicking off.
But like Voyager launching UPN,
that was a big one.
Didn't really
It didn't really fail.
work. But it didn't succeed either.
Oh, there are lots of
UPN did
projections.
not succeed because of
UPN
Voyager.
didn't
I know.
succeed.
My point is
Right.
UPN didn't work. It
Yeah,
wasn't Voyager's fault.
Right.
That's not Star Trek's fault.
I know, but I'm saying it wasn't it's a and the Star Trek.
This was an Alex fail gamble. Is that what you're
Okay.
saying?
Not blaming Janeway.
Launching.
I'm not blaming Janeway.
Launching
How
TNG
dare
as
you.
a sequel into syndication. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a huge.
That's
gamble.
a big one.
And by the way, that launched the whole industry.
It sure did.
So everybody
When we
started
wouldn't
doing
have Xena Hercules.
Xena.
We would have had 25.
I love it. Those are good.
A couple, if I can.
Yes, Josh.
A couple that I thought of.
Roll the dice, Joe.
The Shatner and Nichelle Nichols kiss.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
As a big gamble.
That's a sociological gamble. Yeah.
And trials and tribulations on the production side. If that hadn't been as successfully
That's
done,
so true.
I could see that being looked at as a big failure.
Because it had to be what it was.
Right.
Anything less would have been
A disaster.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
they
it's
screwed that
ridiculous.
up, it would have been
Right.
terrible.
That's a huge
Yeah.
gamble. I like it.
Yeah.
What doesn't
That's a good
seem
one.
like a gamble, but from what it sounds like from what we've all heard from behind the scenes, making Voyager's captain a woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
For its time.
you'd like to think it wasn't, but I guess it was.
That's
It was.
Yeah. I mean, from a studio production side, definitely a big gamble. Yeah.
There are still people that don't like.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. Awesome job. Let's get into our regeneration cycle and quickly recap our picks.
Computer, activate regeneration cycle. Alcoves beta and gamma.
Okay, Deb, break it down. Run them through real quick.
Number 5, I had Enterprise Awakening Season 4. And number 4, I had Lower Decks, Wes Juge. 3, I had DS9, Emissary. 2 TNG, Cause and Effect, and number one pick, Discovery, Such Sweet Sorrow, Part 2.
Fantastic. So you spread it around. Enterprise, Lower Decks, Deep Space Nine, TNG, and Discovery. Jamie.
My number 5 pick will always have Tom Paris from Lower Decks. Number 4, more Tom Paris, is the episode Meld from Voyager. Number 3, Gangsters of Triskelion from the original series. Number 2, Treachery, Faith, and the Great River, Nog from DS9. And my number 1 pick is Cisco at the craps table, the way both I would like to be, and I'm sure Josh will be later on this evening, chucking cold hard cash in the air in Bada Bing Bada Bang in DS9 season.
So you had 2 Deep Space Nine, and then TOS, Voyager, and Lower Decks. Josh, how about you?
Number 5, bringing in Harv Bennett, produced Wrath of Khan. Number 4, the introduction of the character Sela. Number 3, the entirety of Deep Space Nine, with a highlight every moment,
Every single second.
Exactly.
Get that in the spreadsheet.
Number 2, Mr. Worf, Fire. And number 1, the casting of Sir Patrick Stewart.
That's fantastic. So you had 3 from TNG, 1 from TOS, 1 from Deep Space Nine. So that's interesting. Alex, how about you?
Number 5, Tom Paris again. Great character, leaving Voyager in Basics Part 1. Number 4, Troy gambling on not separating the saucer in Disaster. Number 3, Pike reaching out to the Romulan captain in A Quality of Mercy. Number 2, Janeway makes a deal with the Borg in Scorpion Part 1. And number 2, Cisco unsuccessfully dupes Vreenak in The Pale Moonlight.
I love the unsuccessful gambles. 2 from Voyager, 1 from TNG, Deep Space Nine, and Strange New Worlds. And my picks was number 5, Quark in the House of Quark with a couple of gambles. Jake Sisko in A Call to Arms and his gamble to stay behind. Tomorrow is Yesterday, the ultimate Kirk speech. Risk is our business, the biggest gamble. The number 2, The Shipment from Enterprise. Number 1, Scientific Method, and Janeway's taking the ship to the binary star. So I had 2 from Deep Space Nine, 1 from TOS, 1 Enterprise, and 1 Voyager. Okay, I actually totaled out some stats. I can't believe it. I was so distracted. So we had 5 picks. There were actual gambling going on. I had 4 for you, and you had somebody else had 1.
I had the poker.
You had 1. Yeah. And then there was 1 duplicate. So that's cool for what was that? The Deep Space Nine. Yeah, of course. And here's our breakdown. We had 8 different incarnations picked. I love when that happens. 8 out of 12 is pretty damn good. So there's 1 from Strange New Worlds and Discovery, 2 from Lower Decks and Enterprise, 3 from TOS, 4 from Voyager, 5 from TNG, and Deep Space Nine led the way with 7, which makes sense since there's a gambling establishment right there. I like that. Okay, those picks. What am I saying? Okay, once again, great episode. Once again, we've been hit by a temporal distortion. So before we can depart, it's time to hear from you.
The temporal distortions are fracturing space-time throughout the ship.
Cause? Unknown.
Oh, we know the cause, Mr. Tuvok, all the amazing feedback we continue to receive from our listeners here at TrekRanks, and this week's temporal distortion that sent us back to episode 136, our top 5 sleazy locales. Our last live show in Chicago at the convention, and that was a great show. I'm just going to relay 3 quick picks we got that are awesome. 1 is from Caleb at Rogue Mode, friend of the show. He had a pick. Next 5 rounds are on me, hashtag a taxor's money well spent. And it is the Andorian District Bar on Tilgana 4 in Lower Decks Envoy. This is a great pick. And then we have from Abby Summer, our friend at Abby Summer, she had Sloane's Brain from Deep Space Nine's Extreme Measures, a very sleazy locale. And then Adam Sanders at MetsFan 1701. he had Damon Togg's ship in Menage a Troy, the episode we watched last night.
That is
in
a
this
sleazy
hotel room.
locale.
When we hit our random search for an episode, we got Menage a Troy. Okay, once again, those picks more than enough to clear ourselves from this week's temporal distortion. So as always, keep your picks coming to me at TrekRanks so we can retweet them, but we also want to hear from you. So put together your own list of top 5 Trek gambles or a list from any of our past shows. Give us a call at the Tricorder Transmissions at 609-512-5527, or just send me a link, record it yourself. We can do it that way. We love getting your voicemails. All right, so hopefully we'll hear from you so you can be featured on the next episode of TrekRanks. And on the next episode of TrekRanks, we are doing, it's our final one out of our 15-part series of guilty pleasures and underrateds and high concept. It's our last one, top 5 high concept TOS episodes. That's what we're closing it out with. So for the group, start thinking about your TOS high concept episode that you would pick if you had a phaser pointed at your head. Debbie, take your time. Take a little break. High concept. I mean, there's a million one. Okay, Josh, we're starting with you.
Mirror.
I mean, start it all. I mean, huge.
The most high concept of high concepts.
High concept
for
and
TOS,
set the tone for science fiction for 60 years.
That the goatee is a universal symbol for the evil universe.
I love it.
Yeah.
Jamie.
I'll go with Assignment Earth. It was such a high concept. It was the concept for a whole nother show. It was a pitch for something else.
I mean, I wonder when the first television backdoor pilot actually aired. I mean, I don't think that was it, but it was right there. I mean, it couldn't be too many before that.
Highest of high concepts you can get.
Backdoor pilot. I love it. Debbie. Alex.
Classic favorite of mine, A Taste of Armageddon.
That's a huge high concept.
Yeah. Just the idea of like fighting a war without fighting a war, right? Like, I love it when you can distill it down to just that. Like,
computers are going to fight the war for you, and you're going to kill it.
Yeah,
that's pretty high concept. Ken Riley in the Peanut Gallery. What do you got?
I'm going to give a shout out to A Wink of an Eye.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Moving faster than normal.
They're moving fast.
Thought about that in the
Pretty-
60s.
That's pretty good.
I'm like blank in here.
Josh Duffy, what do you got?
I'm going after Debbie.
Stop naming all the episodes.
Cat's Paw.
Alternative Factor.
Oh, that's pretty high concept.
That's pretty high concept. It's not necessarily top 5.
Oh my god. That is bonkers.
Tomorrow is yesterday.
There you go. That's a huge one. Yes, Tomorrow is Yesterday is a fantastic.
Just the title alone.
I mean, the title is a masterpiece, the literary masterpiece. I love it. Okay, before we wrap it up, a huge thanks to our entire crew here. Debbie Moltisanti, Jamie McGregor, Josh Zeller, Alex Perry, in the studio audience, everybody that's here. We appreciate you all coming on board.
I was wondering if you could show me how to access these subspace communications logs.
And we're going to do that right now, Mr. Neelix. So we're closing it off. Any final Trek subspace communications anyone wants to relay before we depart?
Yay, TrekRanks!
All right, thanks for engaging with us.
Let's
here
go gambling.
That's
right.
I'm
ready to lose some money.
Yes. Episode 144 of the TrekRanks podcast. As always, you can close by. I'm looking forward to standing with you again in this place. Right along. That's good enough.
Do you wish that the first Apollo mission hadn't reached the moon, or that we hadn't gone on to Mars and then to the nearest star? That's like saying you wish that you still operated with scalpels and sewed your patients up with catgut, like your great-great-great-great-grandfather used to. I'm in command. I could order this. But I'm not. Because Dr. McCoy is right in pointing out the enormous danger potential in any contact with life and intelligence as fantastically advanced as this. But I must point out that the possibilities, the potential, But knowledge and advancement is equally great. Risk is our business. That's what the Starship is all about. That's why we're aboard her.
Just want to remind everyone again that the entire TrekRanks catalog is available for you to download and listen to at TrekRanks.com and on your podcast player of choice. Our episodes never get carbon dated, so check out the topics you've missed and maybe just want to listen to again over at TrekRanks.com. And a reminder to check out our friends 5-Year Mission at 5yearmission.net. They're writing a song for every episode of Star Trek, and you won't believe how great their music is. They also have a podcast at the Trek Geeks Network, so seek them out. You won't regret it.
Yourself superior. You're murderers without the spirit to really wager for the lives you take.
Wager, explain yourself, Captain.
My people pride themselves on being the greatest, most successful gamblers in the universe. We compete for everything. Power, fame, women, everything we desire. And it is our nature to win. And for proof, I offer you our exploration of this galaxy.
We are aware of your competitive abilities, Captain.
Well then, I wager that with weapons of your own choice, right here now, my people can overcome an equal number of thralls set against us.
100 quatloos on the newcomers.
400 quatloos against the newcomers.
200 quatloos against. 500 for the newcomers. Contest by multiple elimination.
Wait, hear me. We can't wager for trifles like quatloos. Stakes must be higher.
Name your stakes, Captain.